The blood-stained morning. Before we dive into the darkest 24 hours inside San Quentin Prison, hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear is something few people survive to tell. The sirens start at 5:43 a.m., sharp, loud, and violent. The kind of sound that slices through concrete walls and broken souls. A correctional officer, Reyes, bursts through C block, shouting, "Lockdown. Everyone down. Now." Moments earlier, a guard making his routine head count found a body slumped in cell 213, the notorious ghost cell. The inmate, a 37-year-old named Darius Cole, known on the inside as DC, was lying face down, a pool of blood spreading beneath his bunk. No sound, no struggle, just silence, the kind that makes even killers hold their breath. San Quentin isn't just a prison. It's a world built on tension, politics, and fear, a concrete island where alliances mean survival and betrayal means death. DC had been serving a life sentence for armed robbery and manslaughter, but among inmates, he was known for something darker, being the middleman between rival gangs, trading secrets for protection. When Lieutenant Owens arrived at the scene, the smell of metal and bleach hit first. The cell looked ordinary, a Bible on the table, a half-eaten orange, a letter addressed to his daughter. But there was something odd. The word, tomorrow, scrawled in red ink on the wall. Only it wasn't ink. The prison immediately went into full lockdown. Every inmate in C block was stripped, searched, and questioned. No weapon was found. No witnesses came forward. The cameras in the hallway had gone dark at 3:12 a.m., exactly 2.5 hours before DC's body was discovered. By noon, tension was boiling over. Inmates whispered in the mess hall, guards walked with their hands near their tasers, and everyone knew something big was about to happen. DC's death wasn't random. It was a message. But from who and to whom? Detective Marla Trent from Marin County Sheriff's Office was called in. She'd seen her share of prison murders, but something about this one didn't fit the usual pattern. The precision of the cut, the missing footage, the word on the wall, it felt orchestrated. Like someone wanted her to find it. She reviewed the hallway logs and found something that made her skin crawl. At 3:10 a.m., 2 minutes before the cameras cut out, a correctional officer named Holt, known for working overtime shifts on C block, had badged into the restricted zone. But Holt never filed his post report. And by the time Trent requested to interview him, Holt was nowhere to be found. Outside, in the fog that rolled over the prison yard, a single maintenance van idled near the west gate. The driver wore a standard-issue uniform, his ID badge flashing under the flickering light. But the name on the badge wasn't Holt's, it was DC's. As the gate opened and the van rolled into the mist, one guard shouted, "Hey, where's Officer Holt?" The van didn't stop. And when the officers forced it open minutes later, it was empty, the driver's seat stained with the same red ink found on DC's wall. But it wasn't just a stain. Under the black light, the words glowed faintly, "He's not dead." The van that vanished. The prison went into a second full lockdown within an hour of the van's disappearance. Every exit sealed, every guard questioned. The warden, Harold Keene, was furious, the kind of silent fury that turns a room cold. "How does a body disappear from inside my prison?" he growled, slamming a fist onto the interrogation table. Detective Marla Trent stood across from him, her eyes scanning the incident report. "The van's last ping was 2 miles out, near the old maintenance tunnel by the bay," she said. "After that, nothing. No driver, no body, no signal." Holt, the missing correctional officer, had vanished like smoke. His car was still in the staff lot. His locker was open. Inside were 2 things that didn't belong, a prepaid cell phone and a single Polaroid showing Darius Cole alive, sitting on a bunk, smiling. The timestamp? 20 minutes after his supposed time of death. Trent stared at the photo for a long time. The details were too sharp, too real to be faked inside. Which meant either someone was running a game on the outside, or DC was never dead to begin with. By afternoon, tension rippled through the yard like static. Inmates were restless. They whispered about a ghost transfer, a secret deal between guards and inmates to fake a death in exchange for silence or smuggling routes. It wasn't unheard of, but it had never been caught on tape. Trent decided to interview DC's cellmate, Marcus Two-Face Nolan, a thin, sharp-eyed inmate with a spider tattoo crawling up his neck. He refused to look her in the eye. "You think DC's gone?" he said quietly. "Lady, nobody leaves this place unless someone wants them gone. And when they do, somebody else pays for it." Trent leaned closer. "Who wanted him gone, Marcus?" He hesitated. "You're asking the wrong question. Ask why he was trying to get out. You think this is about gangs? It's not. It's about something that was never supposed to leave that cell." Before she could ask more, 2 guards came in and pulled Nolan away for yard check. But as he passed her, he whispered something that froze her blood. "Check the drain under the bunk." That night, when the cell block lights went out, Trent returned to cell 213 with a flashlight. She unscrewed the steel plate beneath the bunk, her gloves scraping metal. Inside the drain was a small waterproof envelope. Inside that, 3 photographs and a note written in shaky handwriting. "They're watching. Don't trust the uniforms." The photos were of the prison yard, shot from a hidden angle. In each frame, men in guard uniforms were exchanging small packages with inmates. Contraband, money, cigarettes, normal enough, but in the last photo, one of the guards was unmistakable. Officer Holt. And next to him, alive and unrestrained, Darius Cole. At 3 a.m., just as Trent prepared to radio in her find, the power grid to C-Block went out again. Total darkness swallowed the corridor. She reached for her flashlight, but before she could turn it on, a voice whispered from the shadows. "Detective Trent, you shouldn't have come back here." She froze. The sound came from the cell door. Slow footsteps echoed closer. "Who's there?" she called out. No answer. Just the faint flick of a lighter and a reflection of eyes staring back at her from the other side of the bars. The flashlight flickered to life, and the man standing there was wearing Officer Holt's uniform. Only it wasn't Holt. It was Darius Cole. He smiled, calm and deliberate. "You wanted to know what happens inside San Quentin in 24 hours, he said softly. "You're about to find out." Then, from somewhere down the corridor, an explosion shook the building, and the power died completely. The final 24 hours. If you thought the last 24 hours were insane, what happens next will make you question everything you've heard about San Quentin. Subscribe now, because this story doesn't end the way you think. The explosion that tore through C-Block was random. It was controlled, precise, detonated from inside the electrical room. By dawn, half the prison surveillance systems were offline, 2 guards were missing, and every inmate had been locked in their cells while smoke drifted through the corridors like a ghost refusing to leave. Detective Marla Trent was pulled from the wreckage, disoriented, her ears ringing. Blood on her forehead, her flashlight shattered. Through the haze, she saw Darius Cole vanish down the emergency stairwell wearing Officer Holt's stolen uniform. She tried to follow, but the gate had sealed automatically during the blast. By 7 a.m., the FBI had joined the investigation. They weren't treating it as a prison incident anymore. It was a federal escape operation. But Trent knew it wasn't just an escape. There was purpose. Darius hadn't faked his death to disappear. He'd done it to expose something. In the chaos, a guard handed her a charred notebook found near the drain in cell 213. The writing was almost destroyed, but one line was still legible. They buried it under the yard. At 10:15 a.m., she met with Warden Keene in his smoke-stained office. He looked exhausted, trembling slightly as he signed reports. "You don't understand," he said, voice cracking. "You dig too deep in San Quentin. You don't find justice. You find deals." "What deals?" she demanded. Keene stared out the window at the yard. "Private transfers. Secret executions. We made ghosts, detective. Men who never made it to the courtroom but still disappeared. DC was supposed to be one of them. Only he lived." It hit her. Darius Cole had been one of the ghost inmates, men erased from records and used for underground trafficking routes, run by corrupt officers. But somehow, he'd survived the system meant to destroy him. By afternoon, a team of agents began digging beneath the old yard, near the chapel. The soil was wet, heavy, and filled with debris, Metal scraps, broken pipes, and finally, bones. Not one skeleton, but several. Each wrapped in faded inmate uniforms with no serial numbers. The forensic techs fell silent. The camera crews that had been called in for documentation backed away slowly. Trent stood there, numb, watching as the reality unfolded. San Quentin wasn't just a prison. It was a graveyard built to hide its own sins. Then, a voice crackled through the radio. "Detective Trent, we've found him." Half a mile down the road, officers had cornered a stolen maintenance van on a dirt path leading toward the bay. They moved in slowly, weapons drawn. When they opened the door, there he was. Darius Cole, calm, sitting in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel. No struggle. No resistance. Trent approached cautiously. "Why, Darius? Why do all this?" He smiled faintly. "Because they made me disappear, detective. I just wanted to show the world what happens when the system decides who's worth keeping." He handed her a small drive, scorched but intact. "Everything's on there. The footage, the payments, the names. Tell them what you saw." Moments later, a gunshot echoed through the fog. Officers ducked, shouting. But when they reached the van, Darius was gone, the driver's door wide open, the seat empty, blood dripping onto the gravel. They searched for hours, but no body was found. The Bay currents are unforgiving. Once they take something, it's gone. Days later, the footage on the drive leaked online. Hidden camera clips of guards trading prisoners, faked reports, false death certificates. The Department of Corrections denied everything, calling it deep fake manipulation. But in one clip, time-stamped 3:10 a.m., the same time the cameras went dark, Darius Cole could be seen walking past the prison gate, looking straight into the lens. He said one line before the feed cut out. "They can cage a man's body, but not the truth." A month later, an envelope arrived at Detective Trent's office. No return address. Inside was a photo, San Quentin at sunrise. On the back, written in that same red ink, 24 hours was never enough.